The stories that are the headlines.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is the Storycon. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm Ed Lingao. It's Monday, February 5. Here are some of the headlines on One News. The DICT, or the Department of Information and Communications Technology, claims to have foiled cyber attacks recently. The DICT traced attempts to breach the OWA, or the OWA, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration website, to China Unicorn, a state-owned telecommunications company. Is it Unicorn or Unicom?
Unicom.
Unicom. Okay, Unicorn. The DICT, though, would not say categorically if the Chinese government is behind the attack. But just for context, Unicom is state-owned.
Yes, like a lot of companies in China.
Almost all the companies here.
It's the China United Network Communications Group. Okay, the National Task Force and Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, rejects a recent call to abolish it. NTF-ELCAC believes it remains relevant in the ongoing peace efforts of the government. It was UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan who made the recommendation, claiming the task of the task force is outdated.
In Albay, a phreatic eruption occurred at Mayon volcano on Sunday. According to PHIVOX, the eruption lasted for 4 minutes and 9 seconds at around 4:37 p.m. Alert level 2 is still up around Mayon.
Yeah, some quick word lang about phreatic. It's not a real eruption, Bob, diba?
It's an explosion caused by the contact of water with
hot. With
lava with hot water.
Yeah, hot air, cool water in the atmosphere with something that's hot in the volcano. So there. So at this point, we bring in DICT spokesperson Aboy Paraiso. Good afternoon, ASEC Paraiso.
Hi, sir.
Good afternoon, Sir Patrick, Sir Ed. It's good to be here in your program. I'd like to also greet your viewers and your listeners as well.
Yes, sir. Sir, yung libo-libo nating manonood. Okay, sarcasm there.
Huwag ho natin kalimutan sila. Magandang hapon po.
Yes, pero ASEC, mukhang mas maganda magiging usapan natin kung tatlo lang tayo. Isipin natin na tatlo lang tayo nag-uusap dito para, di ba, less guarded. Okay. ASEC.
Huwag niyong isipin na si Ivan Uy nanonood.
Sige po.
So, ASEC, when you trace the hackers to China Unicom, is it possible that there is no official involvement of that state-owned Chinese company?
Well, Sir Patrick, we would like to be very careful. Kami ho sa DICT, we would be very careful in making our pronouncements, especially when it comes to attribution on who these hackers are and who are behind them. What we can say for a factual matter is we know, we trace their IP addresses, and we know that they are within the territorial jurisdiction of China. In fact, as you have clearly mentioned, we pinpointed them to a facility owned by Unicom.
A facility owned by Unicom. In other words, physically,
Andun sila.
nandun sila sa Unicom.
Okay. ASEC, alam naman natin, getting access to communications or computers within this facility is not going to be easy, right? It's going to be likely restricted. So, what do we make out of this? Dito lang, ASEC, dito lang sa opisina namin, mahirap mag-access sa computer. Ano pa kaya dyan, ano?
Sir, and again, we would like to be very careful because alam naman natin yung geopolitical consequences of being basing all our actions on conclusion or on inference lang ho, na hindi naman factual. Kasi pwede rin ho mangyari, Sir Patrick, na for example dito sa DICT may mga bisita tayo na they would access our internet, our website, and therefore their IP addresses can be traced to DICT when in fact they're not employees or they're just mere visitors or guests of DICT.
Yes, sir. But in that case, sir, you might be referring to people visiting who might be opening their Facebook accounts, not people visiting to hack other countries abroad.
Yeah, that is also a possibility we don't discount, Sir Ed. Like I said, we're just trying to be very, very careful, knowing the consequences of our pronouncements.
We understand, ASEC. Kaya inunahan ko na by saying kanina na, let's pretend na tatlo lang tayo nakikinig dito, nag-uusap dito.
Wala si Sec.
So, what are the next steps, ASEC?
Well, like I said, correctly reported naman ho, ito yung mga nasawata, it was thwarted, prevented, successfully defended by the men and women of the ICT. Again, it speaks volumes to the dedication and skill level despite having a very limited manpower and very restrictive budget ho natin. Talagang itong mga taon to, talagang pinakita nila na mas magaling ho sila do sa mga hackers na nagtangka na i-penetrate yung mga government systems so natin. As for the next step, so we're trying to take a whole of nation approach. We're coordinating with various agencies. Tapos we're also in communication and coordination and cooperation, tatlong C's, na with our like-minded allies na you have to understand, Sir Ed, na ito ho ay hindi lang ho to limitado sa Pilipinas. This is a worldwide phenomenon. This particular threat actors are boundaryless. So marami hong nasyon, marami hong bansa na nakaka-experience ng similar threats and similar incidents so gaya na sa Pilipinas po.
Yes, sir. I understand, sir, what you're saying. These are boundaryless, which also, of course, on the other hand, raises the question: why would they do it from within China Telecom's facility? If they could do it from any other place, diba? I know you cannot answer that. I just wanted to raise that question because it is a fascinating question in itself, considering that China is pretty strict with security and access among many other things. But okay, let me not put you on the spot there. Let me just ask you to qualify. When you say that there was an attempt to hack some of government's websites, exactly how or what kind of hacking was involved here?
Well, they were trying to access the account logs and the account information ng mga administrator ng mga websites na to. They're trying to get their mga credentials in order for them to gain further access to sa system ng gobyerno. And thankfully, na-prevent natin from them moving forward. From the onset, we detected that they were trying to get the access of these administrators, then we remediated ho. Yun yung term na ginagamit natin dito na nagawa na ho natin ng mga paunang lunas or yung we solved that particular problem wherein they cannot use whatever they got, they cannot use it to do whatever they were planning to do.
So they tried to take control. When you say they tried to get the credentials of the administrators, they tried to take control of the websites.
They try to get control of the access of the administrators kasi mas higher yung level ng access ng administrators. True. They could access more of the systems of government.
Okay.
And at this particular juncture, I'd like to point out na hindi lang ho yung pag-atake sa government institutions at web systems natin. Nangyayari ho ito at may mga namomonitor din tayo na pati ho ang pribadong sektor nakaka-experience ng ganito pag-atake from the same threat actors.
From the same source? From the same geolocation?
Geolocation threat actors yun. Hindi lang kasi namin na-detect yung IP addresses but also the manner kasi may mga footprints yan yung modus operandi ho nila. So we can basically pinpoint or get an idea kung sino yung mga groups na to, sino yung mga hackers na to. Not only with their IP addresses po.
So ASEC, this is not the usual hacking attempt where they usually just vandalize a site, right? So there's an attempt to steal information.
Tama ho kayo. It's not yung mga papansin lang ho like before when we experience yung hacking sa mga government institutions na to. These are threat actors that try to gain access to the websites. And whatever they were planning to do, they were thwarted. Hindi na ho sila nakamove forward.
ASEC, are you at liberty to tell us, to reveal, to disclose the other private companies you mentioned a while ago who were also targeted for these hacking incidents?
Well, unfortunately, no po because of privacy concerns. May mga privacy laws in place po tayo.
Can you tell us what industry, what field they're involved in?
Well, mostly IT, the financial, tsaka yung mga support services natin.
Okay.
Sir, there was mention over the weekend na there were attempts to get into, I think, Google Workspaces of the ICT. I'm reading the Inquirer, sorry. National Coast Guard or National Coast Watch of the Philippine Coast Guard and even the President's personal website, Bongbong Marcos. So it's pretty, it's
pretty high level.
And pretty spread out. Ang dami na gustong pasukin eh. Could you give us an idea? Ano pa yung mga sinubukan nilang sundutin o pasukin? What about DND, PNP, security services?
Ganito, Sir Patrick, Sir Ed, to give you a context of what's happening. On a daily basis, these hackers attempt to hack the systems of government, not only of government, but private individuals. And not only of the Philippines, but several other nations as well. So ito ho, tama mo yung word nyo, widespread ho to eh. Parang it's a shotgun approach, if you will. They try to get into various government systems, tapos whenever they can move forward, doon parang nagko-concentrate sila doon. And then doon ho natin sila we stop them on their track zone. So that's basically what's happening on a daily basis. Yan ho ang hinaharap ng ating mga kawani dito sa DICT.
Okay. Sec, is it possible that there have been previous attempts that were undetected by DICT?
Marami ho tayong previous attempts. So, pero fortunately, karamihan ho sa kanila, if not all, have been detected, and naisasabi naman, we cannot claim all the credit naman ho sa DICT. Meron din ho nire-report sa atin. Then like I said, that it's vital that we talk to our like-minded allies because we can more or less napipredict natin ano yung mga next plan of attack nila, saan sila mag-a-atake, where they focus on next. So again, we cannot claim all the credit, but mostly na-detect naman ho ng DICT.
Mm-hmm. Sir, have we by any chance challenged or confronted China Unicom over these events? Well, whether China Unicom or the Chinese Foreign Ministry or maybe your counterparts sa China sa kanilang information technology, I don't know. But has any official challenge been made by the Philippine government as far as this is concerned?
No, categorically wala pa ho. Again, we are very careful about attribution. We can only say na parang eto ho, na-detect natin unless we get further proof of further involvement, hindi ho tayo pwede mag-point na accusatory finger. In fact, what we plan to do is seek their help, seek their assistance. So, using diplomatic relationships, dahil this is within their territorial jurisdiction, this is within the ambit of their powers, they are more capable and they're more equipped to help us put a stop to these threats.
Yes, sir. Pero sir, sorry sir, pilyong tanong lang.
Sige po.
Pero sir, hindi ba, kung galing sa facility ng China Unicom, tapos we ask them to investigate, parang, isn't that like telling them, tigil nyo na yan kasi nahalata na namin kayo?
Pwede ho. At least it would be, to go further, parang to indulge ho yung line of questioning nyo, Sir Ed. Parang it's sort of saying na alam na namin yung ginagawa nyo, pero di ba? Or alam namin na may nangyayari dyan. So, just so you know, we are aware of it.
We know what you did last night. Parang
we know where you were.
Something like that.
We know where you were.
So you have served notice. But I guess this is not within the purview, the ambit of DICT, no? But if this elevates to the Department of Foreign Affairs, I mean, is there what's the normal route? Is there a need for a diplomatic protest of sorts? I mean, is that part of the...
We would surmise that it would entail a more comprehensive report that would now entail a more comprehensive investigation para mas kumpleto. Kasi again, we don't want to point an accusatory finger na wala naman sufficient na basihan para do sa protest na yon. So whenever we do that protest, it would be comprehensive, it would detail out what happened and our basis for the protest.
Okay. You mentioned a while ago that we are in communication with, let's call them allies or friends from other countries. This China United Telecommunications, have they figured in similar hacking incidents in other countries?
Yes, we can state that for a fact that yung mga hackers na pinpoint natin also tried to penetrate and tried to get into the systems of various other governments and nations across the globe yung mga kaalyado natin. And because of yung modus operandi natin, we have also suspected various groups that are linked to Chinese hackers naman po.
Okay, same IP address traced back to China United Telecoms. Same
IP addresses located within that particular facility.
And incidents in what countries? I wonder if you can disclose those countries.
I cannot disclose the particular incidents and what particular countries, pero I can disclose na yung mga nakakausap natin na they share the same, they're in the same boat as the Philippines. We have Israel, we have the United States, we have our nations here in Southeast Asia as well.
Okay.
But sir, that's a major point of concern. I mean, if it's not the first time anybody has sourced these hackers from the facility of China Unicom, trying to get into other countries. I mean, kumbaga, it's a repeat offender.
Sa abolition ng NTF-ELCAC,
Yes, sir.
yung karamihan over.
Sorry, sir. May party line tayo.
May pumapasok.
May party line mo yata.
Nahak-ina tayo na natin yung communications natin. May pumapasok na iba.
Sir, sige. Diyan. Teka, baba mo yung telepono dyan. Sorry, party line. Sir, go ahead, sir.
Sorry po. I didn't catch the question, Sir Ed.
Yes, sir. I'm saying, what I'm saying simply is that
May interview po
if this is not, like you're saying, this is not the first time that a hacking attempt was sourced from the facility or the IP address of China Unicom. So it's parang a repeat offense. And, you know, I suppose that the other countries as well already complained before and they still have the same problem.
Well, I don't know if they already complained before. I cannot ascertain that fact, Sir Ed. But again, I ascertain what I can divulge is they experience the same incidents as we have. Whatever they do, again, ang basihan ho ng pag-uusap at pagkukomunika natin is for remediation purposes. Now, whatever they want to do moving forward naman para ho magkaroon ng accountability, kanya-kanyang bansa ho ang it's a matter of each other country's policies po.
Okay, sir. So what's next? What happens now? I mean, you found out, you figured out where it's coming from. What's the next step?
But right now, we're still conducting further investigation. Like I said, para tong case build up leading up to whatever comes next, whether it's a protest, whether it's a complaint. But again, the position that we're taking right now is we really want to explore and we take advantage of we still have these diplomatic relationships with that particular government wherein these threat actors are operating out of. So, pero kailangan sa pati na ho ng pamahalaan natin, lalo na sa DICT, makapag-conduct tayo at makakalat tayo ng mga ebidensya na para palakasin ho ang ating position when it comes to this particular protest that we're talking about.
Okay.
Sir, you're an IT expert. How does it come across to you? Ito ba parang pambabastos? Diretsahang sampal ba yan?
Sa amin ho, eto Sir Ed, sabihin ko, yung mga, I'll point ho do sa threat actors. Yes,
Yes, sir.
it's pambabastos, so it's a criminal offense when you talk about the laws of the Philippines. Pero ho, when it comes naman dun ho, kasi hindi naman ho natin, we cannot categorically state that whoever is behind it So I'm directly pointing that finger on the threat actors
Yes, sir.
that themselves na we really hope in the soonest possible time we can identify to a certain people.
Okay.
Okay.
Cyber warfare, where I guess we're at the new age, no? ASEC.
Andun na ho tayo.
Aboy,
Andun na ho talaga
Paraiso.
tayo. Everything that we do right now involves IT, the Internet of Things, even warfare ho. Sabi ko nga, most of the technology right now in warfare involves IT. Even yung mga hardware na yon runs on IT. So talaga, andun na ho talaga tayo.
Buti sana kung Netflix account mo lang yung...
Tanong na kaya natin kay ASEC ito. ASEC, kasi I remember months ago, maybe it was even last year, there's a pending decision pa rin on the part of National Security Council whether to prohibit government officials government employees from using TikTok. Yan na lang.
Oh.
Okay, from your
so,
end,
go
what
ahead.
are the risks? Is it risky? Because I know that the Canadian government has outlawed TikTok on the handsets of the government employees.
Ang sa amin naman ho sa DICT, we are technologically agnostic and to be honest, ang country manager ho naman ng TikTok nakikipag-ugnayan. In fact, recently we signed a MOA with various social media platforms including TikTok so that they can modify their yung mga community policies nila para mag-address naman ho yung mga kultura natin sa Pilipinas. So more or less so maganda pakikitungo natin. Right now, we would be really interested ano ho yung mga magiging basihan ho ng NSC at na para ho sabihin ho, kami naman ho, pag sinabihan ho kami na if it's a national threat, hindi naman ho kami magdi-determine yan eh. Sila ho magdi-determine yan. And when they do determine that, kami ho ay magko-comply and we would do everything to promote at saka to execute on the policies of government po.
Okay, thanks for joining the Storycon this Monday. DICT spokesperson Aboy Paraiso. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you ho, Sir Ed, Sir Patrick, at para ho mabigyan ho kami ng pagkakataon ma-contextualize ho itong mga pangyayaring to.
Okay.
I like that phrase, technologically agnostic.
Technologically. Whether
Mga
TikTok
gagamit
yan or Reels or IG.
I am technologically agnostic. Okay,
Okay.
I'll find a way to use that.
So many ways to try to get him to admit na to say something more
Yeah, but of course,
But I
you
guess-
also
I guess
understand
they
it.
need
It's
to-
also a diplomatic issue. I mean, you're talking about a state-owned company
Yes,
involved in
yes,
a criminal act.
it's like the equivalent of espionage.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
right?
But yun nga lang, parang, it also makes you wonder, but hindi naman nag-ingat masyado kasi they were able to trace the IP address to a facility.
Was it that simple? Ganon?
Well, that's my understanding. Physical facility of China Unicom. Physical facility.
I can imagine, Bok, we have our own counter hacking operations. Parang counterintelligence lang yan eh.
May load tayo, ganun.
May load. But I guess at the part of DICT right now, or the Philippine government, it's enough to serve notice to whoever tried to hack or get into the system.
We know what you're doing.
We know what you're doing.
That's also an interesting
Listado
perspective.
na kayo. Maybe that they're satisfied with that at this point.
And yun nga, what you mentioned a while ago, that it's not the first time in this
Other countries have seen similar incidents, and the usual suspect is they're pointing to the same company, China United Telecom.
So many interesting things happening. Okay, well, you're watching Storycon on One News. We just need to pause for a quick break. We'll be back in a bit.
This is the Story Conference Group, or the Storycon Group. The stories that are the headlines and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Patrick Paez with Mr. Bok Ed Lingao.
Hello, magandang Monday sa inyo lahat. UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan has recommended the abolition of the NTF-ELCAC. Let's get the reaction of the NTF-ELCAC's Executive Director, Undersecretary Ernesto Torres Jr. Sir, magandang hapon. You're on Zoom pala. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, magandang hapon, Ed. Good afternoon also, Patrick, and sa lahat ng mga nanonood at nakikinig sa atin ngayon dito sa Storycon.
Yes, sir. Batiin niyo lahat ng mga libo-libong viewers natin. Anyway,
Mas magandang usapan pag sabihin natin tatlo lang tayo
sige.
nakikinig.
Sige, sir. Kunwari, tatlo lang tayo nag-uusap. So, para mas candid tayo. Sir, pero ito nga, itong recommendation ni Irene Khan, rapporteur ng UN, for the abolition of the NTF-ELCAC. Did that catch you by surprise? I suppose she also talked to you.
Yes. We had two sessions with her. The first one was last January 23. So, 1-hour session with SR Khan together with some of my staff here at our office. Then another one, she requested for a special session last January 31. Well, somehow, going back to your question, Ed, no?
Yes,
Kung
sir.
nagulat kami, it is somehow expected, pero nakakapagtaka lang how she came about with those recommendations, considering, three things, no? Unang-una, she did not even visit a single barangay that was cleared from CPP influence through the NTF-ELCAC framework. And we are talking here of more than 4,000 barangays that were cleared from the previous influence of the CPP, NPA, NDF, who are now benefiting from the programs of the government for peace and development. And I'm referring to barangay development programs, yung enhanced comprehensive local integration program, and other interventions of the different government agencies. No? That's one. Second is, it runs contrary to the yung survey na kinandak ng isang ayaw ko kung pwede kong banggit dito. It was conducted by Inquirer.net, no? Inquirer community yata yun, regarding the abolition of NTF-ELCAC. And the response of the Filipino people was a resounding no. Ayaw nilang ma-abolish ang NTF-ELCAC. And that is the Filipino people speaking already. And the third reason is that she only had 10 days here in the Philippines. And he met with, I think, more than 2 dozens of government agencies, personalities, civil society organizations, and some are, known to be affiliated either directly or indirectly to the CPP, NPA, NDF. 10 days lang yon, ano? So with the volume of information, briefing, documents that were given to her, it's just surprising na pagdating dun sa dulo, meron kaagad siyang recommendation, to abolish NTF-ELCAC. Nakakapagtaka dahil yung ibang mga kasamahan natin, Pilipino na dito pinanganak, dito nabuhay, kasama natin sa gobyerno, ay hindi pa ganun kalalim yung understanding sa NTF-ELCAC. Kung ano ang mandato nito, ano yung mga programa. And here comes a UN rapporteur who was so busy, very busy. She even went to Tacloban, Cebu, and Baguio, no? Iba pa yung mga meetings niya. Magmula umaga, nagmi-meeting na yan. So parang mas magaling pa siya kaysa sa ChatGPT at sa AI to process all of those information and come up with a very serious recommendation to abolish a very effective framework, yung National Task Force in Ending Local Communist Armed Conflict. Very effective in the sense that it was able, through its effort, it was able to dismantle 89 guerrilla fronts all over the country for the past 5 years.
Yes,
Nasa tingin natin ay parang it was able to do the almost impossible, because there were years before the NTF-ELCAC, nung tayo ay nasa serbisyo pa sa military, there are even years na kahit isang guerrilla front ay walang nadidismantle. Kung meron man ay very handful.
Okay.
So this case mga 18 na guerrilla fronts per year ang nadidismantle through the whole of nation approach, whole of government participation to address the root causes of insurgency. Hindi na yata naiintindihan na ang mandato ng NTF-ELCAC is to yung nabanggit ko, to resolve the root causes of insurgency. Nakasama dyan yung poverty, yung delivery of basic services in far-flung areas na nagiging vulnerable sa exploitation and recruitment ng CPP, NPA, and
Undersecretary.
So, yes.
Yes, in your conversations with the UN Rapporteur, what is her main concern about NTF-ELCAC? Ano yung pinaka-worry niya, concern niya, or what's her point against NTF-ELCAC?
Well, I guess yung pinaka-issue niya lang naman about the NTF-ELCAC ay the alleged red tagging. No? She has to be, although she was briefed that yung information operation ng NTF-ELCAC ay isa lamang sa line of effort, one of the 12 lines of effort, and we do not condone, let that be put on record, we do not condone and allow red tagging.
Okay, is there concern?
We have the constitutional mandate to protect and serve the Filipino people, and part of protecting the Filipino people is bringing out the truth about certain organizations, certain personalities, for them to exercise their right to an informed choice.
Is the
UN
UN
Rapporteur that would not harm
Rapporteur...
themselves, a choice that would not harm their family or their community. So
Okay.
yung balance, yung balance between telling the truth about certain organizations and personalities for the protection of the Filipino people. And yung kabila naman baka nag-overreact naman yung ibang mga kasamahan natin. And we have we have legal options dun sa mga nag-overzealous na mga kasamahan natin na if anybody felt offended dun sa mga ginagawa ng ibang mga kapwa natin Filipino, there's always a recourse na mag-file sila ng demanda either sa korte o sa ombudsman kung government employee.
Undersecretary, is the UN Rapporteur of the opinion that the people who are being red tagged are actually innocent or are being blamed for something they're not guilty of? Because I understand that the point of the NTF-ELCAC and the military is to, as you mentioned a while ago, expose these people and tell the truth. So, does the UN Rapporteur believe that innocent people are being tagged?
Well, we explained to him the mandate of our strategic communication, the reason why we are exposing some of the people, because meron mga pagkakataon kasi na ang isang organisasyon may naka-embed dyan na mga propagandista sa kabila who are recruiting, they are organizing and mobilizing some of our kababayans, particularly yung mga nasa youth sector, nasa labor sector, at yung mga urban poor dito sa atin, meron siyang mga binabanggit na mga certain cases, particularly yung mga dinidinig na mga kaso ngayon. And I think she was appropriately briefed kasi pati ATC nag-brief din sa kanya, ang DOJ nagkaroon din siya ng session, and even the Supreme Court nagkaroon din siya ng session with them. So I'd like to believe that with her session with these organizations and agencies, she was made aware of the status of the cases of people who alleged to be red tagged by the government.
Pero sir, at the same time, this is my understanding na, at the same time, I think she made the pitch to abolish the NTF-ELCAC because she says that the body was created 6 years ago with in a different context. Ibig sabihin, ibang-iba na ngayon kumpara noon. And tama ang sabi niyo maraming pinagbago talaga. Dismantle yung mga yung mga guerrilla fronts.
Guerrilla fronts.
And so on down the line. So there's so much less insurgency happening right now. So with that perspective na it's a radically different situation before compared to now. She's saying na medyo outdated ng NTF-ELCAC. Maybe she's, I don't know, I was not able to attend the press con naman But maybe there's a middle ground here. Baka naman she's asking for maybe the whole of government approach pa rin, pero some changes or some modifications in the body itself.
Yes, Ed, actually, I explained that to her during our special meeting, January 31 of this year. There are 3 possibilities sa isang task force. Kagaya ng National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. Very clear yung mandate niya, to harmonize the effort of the whole of government and the whole of nation to end local communist armed conflict. Okay? When a task force has accomplished its mission already, 3 ang possibilities. One is, it may be abolished. No? Second is it can transition into another task force with a different mandate.
Yeah.
And third, yung pangatlo ay ma-absorb siya ng concerned agency. So ngayon, dun sa punto ng abolition, kaya lang kasi ang premise ni Miss Kang dun sa kanyang i-abolish daw because it is engaging in red tagging. No, hindi yung i-abolish dahil na-accomplish na ang mission. So right now, in response to your question, Ed, it is about to accomplish its mission totally because we still have, of the 89 active guerrilla fronts, meron pang naiiwan na 11 weekend guerrilla fronts. And when that is done, we can confidently say that we have already addressed the armed component of the CPP and PA-NDF, and we will now be ready to transition to something else. And the proposal is, actually may nagawa na tayong roadmap dyan, Ed and Patrick, roadmap to transition NTF-ELCAC into NTF-UPD, which is Unity, Peace, and Development. So it will be a shift on the focus on security to a campaign that is heavier, more focused on establishing unity, peace, and development. But the trigger for that transition is the complete dismantling of the remaining 11 guerrilla fronts. And yung security sector po natin, sila yung nasa lead ng dismantling of guerrilla fronts, weekend guerrilla fronts. They are confident in saying that within the year, we would be able to dismantle the remaining guerrilla fronts.
Well, actually, sir, I don't think anybody would argue against naman a whole of nation approach. I think it does make a lot of sense. I mean, when you think about it, it's not just the military that should be working towards ending the insurgency. It should be all the agencies involved in government and even outside of government.
Even the civilians. It's a whole of nation participation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas before kasi, security sector lang ang nag-engage in defeating insurgency, So medyo limited yung gains natin na yun, nagre-recover sila, nagsa-cycle na naman again. We are very fortunate, we are very happy that finally we came to this point na meron tayong mechanism na institutionalized na everybody, particularly the government agencies, should contribute to the effort in addressing the root causes of insurgency. And it is working very well.
Yes,
Kaya
sir.
hindi po dapat natin bitawan. No, it may transition into something else, but the whole of government approach, whole of nation participation, founded on good governance, is the key towards resolving any problem, particularly this problem on insurgency.
And I agree. I really think that makes sense. Talagang whole of nation approach. Pero on the other hand, sir, you'd also have 6 years of you might call it bagahe sa international community and the local community as well. Na kasi just as an example, the last 6 years, ibang-iba ang dating ng NTF-ELCAC versus this entire year and a half ng BBM administration.
Tama
medyo
kayo, Ed, nagbabago na rin yung operational environment and even the informational environment. So we keep on doing assessment for us to recalibrate the way we do things, yung mga programs natin, yung mga activities natin, and the different projects that are being introduced, particularly in those more than 4,000 previously influenced barangay, binabago rin po natin yung approach natin. And yun nga, ang pinaka-significant na maaaring maging part of our recalibration is to shift the focus of the NTF from a security-focused campaign to a campaign that is more geared towards establishing unity, peace, and development.
Okay,
And that will
Undersecretary.
run until the end of the term of our president.
Okay, Undersecretary, I just wonder how the NTF-ELCAC regards the December 26 rectification document issued by the CPP-NPA. Because in that document, they're saying na basically tuloy ang gera. That
Yes,
nothing has changed in the Philippines.
precisely,
Their
Patrick,
analysis of Philippine society remains the
It was
same.
even issued right after the Oslo Agreement,
Right.
wherein the possibility of having another round of national peace talks was revived. No? Ang nakalagay doon sa precondition doon sana ay walang armed, kumbaga, i-abandon nila yung armed component nila. But if you are to read, yung pong nilabas nila na call for rectification nila last December 26, no, nung anniversary nila, nandoon pa rin po, nakalagay pa rin doon yung ang primary form of struggle nila is the armed struggle. At yung political, pati na yung peace talks is just a tool, towards, to support the armed struggle for them to overthrow the government.
So-
Ganun pa rin po yung walang pinagbago po. It's just a rehash of their old call, yung sa constitution nila, no? Pati na rin yung mga substantive agenda that they were calling for. Nakalagay na dyan yung sa KASER, if you are familiar with it, yung Comprehensive Agreement for Socio-Economic Reforms, the old things that they were asking, which if we will accede to those, kaya nga sinabi na ang ating butihin na secretary ng OPAPRO, dapat uupo sila to define a new framework. Dahil po yung mga dating framework na ginamit sa pakikipag-usap sa kanila did not work. So umaasa po tayo that if that will push through, ay magkakaroon po ng ibang itsura yung, at ibang agreement yung pong talks na gagawin natin sa kanila. But nonetheless, even if there are efforts at the national level, meron pong isang cluster of line of effort under ng National Task Force, yung tinatawag na local peace engagement. Hindi po natin binibitawan yan to complement yung national level na peace effort. So dito sa local peace engagement, kasama po ang community, kasama yung local chief executive, in reaching out doon sa mga kapatid natin na nandoon pa rin po sa bundok at may hawak na armas, for them to be enticed para may paliwanag sa kanila yung programa ng gobyerno na pwede na po silang magbagong buhay. And so far, for the past more than 5 years, Ed and Patrick, we are successful in causing the reformation, the surrender, the rehabilitation, reformation, and eventual integration of more than 40,000 regular NPAs, mga milisyang bayan, sangay ng partido sa lokalidad, and even some supporters. So we have to sustain these efforts, even if we have dismantled already all the remaining 11 weekend guerrilla fronts. We need to take care of the transformation, continuous transformation of the more than 40,000 surrenderies and the more than 4,000 previously influenced barangays so that they won't go back again and be recruited to the CPP-NPA movement. Abot kamay na po natin at sana po magtuloy-tuloy yung ating mga collaboration and coordination to finally put an end to this more than 50 years of insurgency.
So I gather from you, Undersecretary, that you're not worried by this rectification movement.
Sorry?
You're not worried by the rectification movement? You don't think it will reverse the losses of the CPP-NPA? You're not worried?
Well, of course, we have to be always vigilant, Patrick. Sabi nga natin, lasting peace is the price of eternal vigilance. So we will abide by that. We will continue to be vigilant regarding the recovery, radicalization, and recruitment of the CPP, NPA, and DF. We know that they will not stop in doing that. But if we can make the people feel that we have a government that cares, we have a Filipino community that cares for them, I don't think they would be successful in radicalizing and recruiting anybody.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Always a pleasure to have you on board.
National Task Force
Salamat
ELCAC
din po,
Executive Director.
Ed and Patrick. Thank you for this opportunity to explain our side.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat po.
Ingat po.
That was NTF-ELCAC Executive Director Ernesto Torres Jr., Undersecretary Torres.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
we go to the Senate naman.
The Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments conducted a hearing this morning. Ano kaya nangyari? Makibalita tayo kay Mian Los Baños. Mian Los Baños, come on in.
Hi Sir Ed, hi Sir P. Magandang hapon po sa inyo. Katatapos-tapos lang, na-delay na yung pagsisimula ng session. Inabot hanggang alas 4 ng hapon. Itong unang araw ng pagdinig ng Senate Subcommittee on Constitutional Amendments para nga dito sa resolution of both houses number 6 or basically pag-amyenda sa ilang economic provisions ng ating saligang batas. So kahit gusto ko nang siguro umpisa ng full force yung mga senador, ang daming dumalo dyan, ang mismong liderato, Senate President Zubiri, Senate President Pro Tempore Loren Legarda, Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva, present dyan, plus other senators. Of course, yung chairman ng subcommittee, Senator Fanny Angara, at yung chairman ng mismong committee, Senator Robin Padilla, present dyan. At bagamat nagsimula na nga yung paggulong ng Chacha hearing, agad na sinabi ng leadership ng Senate, hindi nila ito mamadaliin, bubusisiin nila ito ng maigi. At maging si Senator Angara, sinabi niya na talagang sobrang didetalyehin nila yung pag-hear nitong nitong mismo pag-amyenda sa economic provisions ng 1987 Constitution. Sir P, Chad?
Mayan, sa mga conversations mo sa mga senador, ano yung namumuong consensus? What economic provisions ang more likely mababago?
Ang almost sigurado so far, Hana, alam natin na may oo o may agreement or okay sa mga senador yung sa public utilities. Kasi yan yung meron ng batas, di ba? Yung Public Services Act. So ang sinasabi nila, basically, ililift lang nila yon kasi ilalagay nila dito sa loob na parang yun yung mga mismong amendment para lang makaligtas sila dun sa nakabinbin ngayon na petition sa Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yun so far,
Okay.
almost okay na yun. Kasi lumusot na sa Senate yun yung mga foreign
Batas na
ownership
yun,
ng public
diba?
utilities.
Oo.
Ano ba yan? For example, transportation, railways, telcos, airports, yan. Yung mga so far, hindi naman bago, pero narinig natin kanina medyo may mga maraming katanungan. It's about education and about advertising. Kasi for example, sa advertising, sinasabi ni Senator Amy Marcos dyan, bakit pa natin pakikialaman yan? Wala naman masyadong revenue dyan. Dahil pumasok pa yung mga, kahit pa ibukas natin sa foreign ownership yan. Kasi in education, sinasabi ng ilan sa mga nagsalita kanina ng mga eksperto is wala rin daw masyadong may tutulong kahit buksan sa foreign ownership yung education. Kasi yung educational crisis na sinasabi nila, problema sa edukasyon, wala naman sa tertiary level.
Yes.
Sabi nila, nasa basic level pa lang may problema na tayo. So unahin na natin doon. Yun yung lumalabas so far.
So, ano talaga yung bago? Public services?
Wala, luma nga. May batas na yan.
May batas eh.
May Republic Act na yan.
Una na nila
Oo.
para matapos sa Supreme Court eh.
Well, may lupa. Land ownership. Is that a no-no for the
No.
senators?
It's a no-no at least for the leadership. And dun mismo sa, hindi yan nakalagay sa mismong dun sa mismong resolution of both houses. Pero nung tinanong natin mismo sila Senate President Nick Zubiri, yan yung isa sa hindi nila papayagan, yung land ownership. Kasi si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos daw mismo nagsabi sa kanila na huwag pakialaman yung land ownership
Okay.
and huwag
So, wala yan.
i-open sa foreigners yan.
So ano pa? Media ownership. Mayan, yan. And we hear about media ownership.
Yeah, kasama yan. Pero so far kasi ngayon, Sir P, hindi pa masyadong nagdetalye dun sa mismong lalamanin. Parang more on, kasi mga legal experts itong mula alas 10 ng umaga hanggang alas 4 ng hapon. Imagine niyo sila dating Chief Justice Hilario Davide, dating Justice Ascuna, Vive Mendoza. Itong mga to, Christian Monsod, ng mga humarap. So more on, yung basic issue, dapat bang mag-chacha o hindi? And malaman yung mga sinabi dyan nila dating Chief Justice Hilario Davide na kunin ko maganda kasi yung quote niya mainam na basahin ko. Sandali ha, for a while, hinahanap
I understand.
ko lang.
David
Ang
was one of the
sinasabi niya,
framers.
sabi niya,
Yeah, Concon.
this is the Constitution I'm willing to die for. Sabi ko ni dating Chief Justice Hilario Davide. Tandaan natin, isa siya sa framers ng 1987 Constitution. Sabi niya, it is the only consti in our country that is pro-God, pro-life, pro-Filipino, pro-people, pro-social justice. Now, shall we amend? Shall we revise? Sabi niya. So, bagay na inayunan din ni Attorney Christian Monsod, sabi niya, hindi yan ang solusyon sa mga problema sa bansa. Pero, si dating Justice Azcuna, okay siya, naluwag tayo yung mga economic policy. Pero ang more on diniscuss niya is yung paano gagawin. At sa kanya malinaw na, sabi niya tama itong ginagawa ng Senate. Pwedeng hiwalay yung discussion ng Senate at House, and at the end, hiwalay din ang botohan. Sir P. Sir Ed.
Bok, sorry, a bit of procedural matter lang. Itong resolution of both houses, RBH number 6, ito ba'y the amendment itself na ipapasa ng Senado tapos ipapasa ng Kongreso after which kung nagkasundo sila, yun na yung proposed amendment? Or ito bang resolution of both houses will only start the ball rolling by calling for a constituent assembly? Kasi
Okay.
big difference yung dalawa, di ba? Yung isa, ito na yan, ito na yung amendment, di ba? Magdidesisyon ng Senado, tapos ipapasa yung bola sa Kongreso, okay naman magdesisyon, pag nagkasundo lahat, yun na yun, ipiplebisito na. Iba yan dun sa magkasundo muna tayo magkahiwalay kung tayo magka-constituent assembly o hindi. At paano yung proseso ng botohan?
Parehas kayo ng tanong ni almost ng ilang ibang senators, for example, ilang senators. Sila Senator Coco Pimentel, medyo parang na-confuse din yung iba kasi parang, teka nga, nagpo-con-as na ba tayo?
Oo nga, yun nga
yung tanong ni Senator Nancy Binay. Kasi parang kanya, diba, kasi ang sinasabi nila dito, tandaan natin, sir ha, hindi legislative power ang ginagamit ng mga senators ngayon, kundi yung hat nila para sa pagbabago ng salitang batas. Parang maganda explanation ni Senator Coco Pimentel. Ang sinasabi niya, ibang hat yung suot natin nito parang nung nag-i-impeach tayo.
Impeachment.
Yung mga naka-robe pa tayo and all. Correct, oo. So sabi niya, malinaw ba yan na nagpo-con-as na tayo? Kasi kung gano'n, di ba dapat magkasama? Ganyan.
Right.
Pero, actually dumating pa sa point kanina, Sir P and Sir Ed, na pinapasuspend ni Senator Risa yung hearing. Kasi sabi niya, parang hindi tayo malinaw kung nagpo-con-as na ba tayo or what.
Kahit kami naguguluhan.
Correct. Ang sinagot dyan ni dating Justice Mendoza, ang sabi niya ay kailangan malinaw na kapag nag-change na kayo or nag-amend na kayo ng Constitution, magkasama ang Kamara at Senado. Pero voting separately.
Okay.
So nung sinabi ngayon ni dating Justice Mendoza yan, doon pumasok sa Senator Risa na, teka, magulo pala hindi pala malinaw doon. Di ba dapat mag-suspend ko na tayo ng hearing? Pero pumasok sa Senate President Zubiri. Sabi niya, hindi, teka muna, pwede namang mag-hear tayo bilang under the Committee of Constitutional Amendments. At i-hear pa lang naman natin. So, or else, kung gusto nyo con-as agad, di wala nang gamit itong Committee on Constitutional Amendments. Sabi niya, so gamitin muna natin yung Committee on Constitutional Amendments, pag-hear lang muna tayo ng magkahiwalay, and then sabi nila, kapag natapos yung hearing at magkaroon na ng committee report dito sa mismo RBH 6 na to, saka raw sila mag-constitute ng con-as. Ito yung catch dyan ha. Ang con-as so far na sinasabi nila Senate President Zubiri ay con-as ng Senado. So far, ang
Walang
nakita
ganun
nating
ata.
tono ay hindi con-as na kasama ang Kamara.
Mayan, parang wala atang ganun sinasabi sa Constitution o con-as ng Senado.
Wala eh. Ang
Isang
linya-
body lang yan eh. Anyway.
Isang linya lang yung Constitution. Doesn't even mention con-as eh.
And it doesn't even say how it will be convened.
Yeah.
Who will call
It's
it
just
to
a
convene it?
simple one-liner that Congress can amend the Constitution with a 3/4 vote. That's all it says eh.
Medyo maraming kailangan i-resolve dun sa proseso.
Actually, yun nga. Kaya natanong kayo na kasi pati pala sila naguguluhan.
Tama.
Hindi, liwanagin ko lang siguro ng konting linya dyan. Ang sinasabi, mayroon sinabi si dating Justice Azcuna na hindi naman malinaw na kailangan talaga kayo magsama eh. Pwede talagang separate. So, doon, dyan, Sir P and Sir Ed, aminado si Senate President Zubiri, na pag mag-con-as ang Senado, tapos meron din ang House, tapos magkaiba sila ng gustong mangyari, sabi nila, ang ending nito, walang maipapasang
Right. Kasi walang tiebreaker. Kumbaga, di ba? Kung yes, let's say voting separately, yes ang Senado, no ang Kongreso.
Walang bycam.
Walang bycam.
And
another point, di ba? How I think that it has to be formally convened first, right? officially convene. What happened kanina, Mayan? Sorry, no? I'm sure nag-open kayo ng session, so that's a regular Senate hearing, right?
It's a regular Senate hearing, yes.
Oo.
True. Hindi siya CONAS.
Parang ganito lang kasimple yan eh. When Congress confirms appointments, you convene as commission on appointments, right? Senators and congressmen in the same body. So, yeah, mahabang usapan pa to.
Mahaba talaga.
Oo, baka mukhang kailangan ng enabling law ng Constituent Assembly na yan para madetalye how it is supposed to be convened.
Saka magkakaiba ng intended, even the legal luminaries. Magkakaiba talaga sila.
Yeah.
May nagsasabing pwedeng magkasama, may nagsasabing pwedeng iwalay.
Eh, dapat nagpaliwanag.
Depende kung anong gustong paniwalaan.
Dapat may paliwanag dyan yung dalawang miyembro ng 1987 Constitutional Commission, ano, si Mr.
Adolf, tsaka si Christian.
Yes. And Hilario Davide.
Davide, oh.
Right, Davide.
Davide, yes.
Dapat ata yun muna ang unang tinanong sa kanila.
So far, ang sinabi ni dating
Ano ba
Justice
yung intent
Ascuna,
ng Constitution?
pwede raw, Sir P, ang sinasabi ni dating Justice Ascuna, pwede raw ito ginagawa ng Senate. Hiwalay.
Right.
Yun ang sa kanya.
So hindi lang voting separately pero meeting separately.
Meeting separately, correct. Sabi niya kasi, hindi rin daw yan sinabi ng maliwanag sa Constitution.
Oo.
Open din yan. So they can do this.
Kasi Mayan, alam mo naman, medyo malalim ang tampuhan ng Senado at Kongreso sa isa't isa. So at this point, siguro at least, mahirap pagsamahin niya sa isang meeting pa. At this point.
This is
Correct.
the only thing that the Constitution says about what we term as CONAS. Article 17 of the Constitution, Section 1, any amendment to or revision of this Constitution may be proposed by, number 1, the Congress upon a vote of 3/4 of all its members. Yun lang yun.
Oo. Wala. It doesn't even say who presides.
Doesn't even say CONAS.
It doesn't even say who presides. For example, Mayan, di ba? Right?
Totoo. Tama.
Who will preside by the proceedings?
Kaya ang nangyayari so far, Sir P and Sir Ed, kung anong gustong kuning legal advice, yun ang sinusunod ngayon, kanya-kanya, ng houses.
Okay. Pero aware ba sila, Mayan, na ang timetable ng Kongreso dyan, ng House of Representatives is July.
Kaya, hindi, nagpasa rin ng tungkol dyan sa Senate President Zubiri kanina. Hindi raw sila magpapasakop sa timeline ng kahit sino.
Okay.
So, kung kahit gano'n daw kahaba to.
So, hindi nagtatapos yung yung hidwaan ng dalawang chambers na yan. Man, kung ganyan, both chambers are still sticking to hard lines, to hard positions on this matter.
Okay.
And it's obvious.
Si Mian Los Baños, ang News 5 correspondent natin sa Senado. Maraming salamat, Mian Los Baños. Sabi, mas magulo pa yan eh.
No, it's not clear. I mean, if it's a constituent assembly, somebody has to preside, right?
Yeah.
All bodies, especially
You
a
can't
body
just have
like
a
that.
committee hearing and just say, this is a CONAS already.
Oo, at saka who's gonna... May kukumpas dapat ng deliberation dyan, kahit bumoto na separately yan. Kailan may kukumpas ng deliberation.
Okay. I guess that's it. It's almost 5, and those are the stories that are the headlines, the stories behind the headlines. I'm Ed Lingao.
I'm Patrick Paez. Join the Story Conference again tomorrow at 4 p.m. This is One News, all sides, all the time. This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.